How's it going, everybody? This is Rob Novakast back with another video for you guys. And with this one, honestly, this is one that I have not gotten into for quite a bit. I've heard from a lot of people that this show is supposed to be good. So, to an extent, I am going to check it out now. Squid Game, which was released on Netflix. And as per usual, I'll be doing episode reviews of this series. But to kind of move things along a little bit, at least as well as for a lot of the other series that I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try to do like a 2-episode review. So that way, again, we can get things moving along. So that way, guys don't have to wait for, almost who knows how long, honestly, for the reviews. So with this, again, I've heard that this is supposed to be really good, and apparently it was a Korean drama, or not Korean drama, but Korean horror suspense deal, at least as far as I've heard. And it's supposed to be really fun. So I'm looking forward to it, and as well as talking about it. So with this episode review, we'll be doing episodes 1 and 2. So without further delay, why don't we go ahead and get right into it. So episode 1 of season 1. Holy shit. Especially when it comes down to the last part of the episode. It does not disappoint of how fucked up it gets. I guess to start us off, we have our main character who is apparently in debt, owes a lot of money to quite a few people, and he's first approached by a man who offers to play a game, and if he wins the game, he would get money. And inevitably, it gets to the point where, like, after all the time he loses, he finally wins, and the guy offers him a chance to win more money, gives him a card, and walks off. To an extent, this character is really down on his luck, desperate. He has a daughter who he finds out that is leaving for the States. And to an extent, he wants to, try to make it so that way she can stay with him. And I guess due to I want to assume pressure or desperation, he contacts the card and proceeds to meet a guy in a mask and gets gassed and sent off to an island. And to an extent, the setup is really weird. Like it's some kind of children's school or playground, right? I don't know. It looks weird. Each person is given a number as well as a jumpsuit. All of their personal possessions have been confiscated, and to an extent, they are offered to play 6 games, and the winner, after winning 6 games, will receive a certain amount of money. Though that's not disclosed yet because they have to go to or at least the amount in of itself is disclosed after the first game, which, by the way, is red light, green light. And it just goes to show how much, especially when they start playing the game, just goes to show how much they are actually going to lose. It's not just, huge wad of cash. It's also their lives if they lose. Because with the first game, red light, green light, they have a robot that apparently tracks or has motion sensor. And sure enough, this gets crazy because to an extent, we see one in particular guy who is kind of obnoxious proceed to run and gets caught and then inevitably gets shot. This freaks out a ton of people. They also get shot, and they're basically told, rules, red light, green light. If you at green light, you can move. Red light, you have to stay still. And if you don't, you're eliminated. So to an extent, there you go. So in a desperate attempt, or at least for the last bit, our characters start or try to play the first game, and our main character is able to win, which I think is Gi-hon. Hopefully I said it correctly. But anyways, all in all, I honestly think that this was a great start. For the first chunk of the episode, we get an idea of our main character, Gi-hon, and what he's going through in life, like just some of the hardships. We get a little bit of backstory with him. Actually, a few other characters do, especially with their debts, which that's another thing, especially with the way that these people were picked they were picked in every single one of them were picked because they were in debt some way or another. So to an extent, they are going to be desperate for this money. So I gotta say, it's quite curious with everything that we're seeing thus far for this. And it was pretty fucked up for that first game. But all in all, I'm intrigued. And I want to watch more. Which, I'm talking about episode 1 and 2, I'm still watching it. By the way, one last thing that I want to talk about before I get into episode 2, which honestly I thought was kind of funny. It's always weird, or I guess if anything, unnerving and kind of laughable to an extent when it comes to an uncomfortable situation in movies where a bunch of people are getting killed and they start trying to play like pleasant music. For instance, during the mass freaking eliminations of a bunch of people for the red light green light game, the guy that is kind of overseeing everything is like playing Fly Me to the Moon, which honestly is, again, it's a good song, but it's just I don't know how to describe it. Again, I had a chuckle, or actually no, not. I kind of started laughing to an extent because it's one of those moments where, again, with something as horrific as mass elimination. I'm using the word elimination for the other word, but I think I said it already. Killing of people, and then they start playing, some pleasant music. It kind of gives you some mixed signals, and I just don't know. Again, it threw me in the loop to an extent, and I kind of loved it. But anyway, I think that's all I have to say of episode 1. Let's talk about episode 2. So, episode 2, which is titled Hell. I don't know the best way to describe this, because after, the horrific event of, a bunch of people getting, killed during a pleasant game of red light, green light, to an extent, a lot of people are honestly not particularly motivated to wanting to continue the games. And they have, by the way, 5 more of these games to play. So, to an extent, they're basically told flat out that, by 2 of the rules, the group cannot refuse to play the games. Anybody who refuses will be eliminated. However, there is one saving grace that is mentioned thanks to one of the individuals in the group, and mentions the fact that the rule of the games will end if there is a majority vote. Sure enough, they do that, and the majority doesn't want to play the games. However, some people still want to play, so they split the groups from whoever picked to not want to play to want to play, separating those people and sending them back home. To an extent, they kind of see where their lives have kind of left off when they were kidnapped. Where at this point, our character that we follow, Jinghyun, who hopefully I said that name correctly. Song Ji-hoon. I think I said it right that time. Hopefully, he finds out that his mom is in the hospital, and due to injuries on her legs, she may have to have her feet amputated. And the worst part is, at this point, he is now like desperately trying to find a way to get money, and he's like is severely desperate, especially on top of the debt that he owes. We see a lot of the other characters who unfortunately, came back. The best friend of Ji-hyun, I think I'm gonna just call him Ji-hyun, but anyways, the friend of Ji-hyun is also in debt for like, I think it was like 4 billion won, so a lot of money, and he's also, I guess, wanted as a fugitive. In fact, his mom ends up finding out the harsh way, where police show up and tell her, "Hey, your son is wanted for embezzlement." So to an extent, that's a heartbreaker. So we also see the pickpocket girl, who basically is trying to earn money to help her brother. There was this crazy guy from the first episode that, unfortunately, the reason he wants to get the money was probably to just, earn money, but at the same time, he has to redeem some debts to a casino that he ripped off. So to an extent, that's not fun, to say the least. And the very next day, after they were dropped back off into where they were first picked up, they are given a card to give them the opportunity to go back, which unfortunately, because of all of them are desperate, a lot of them do. So that's how the episode ends, all in all. I kind of saw that coming. To an extent, I kind of figured this would be like kind of like an intermention. There we go. Intermention episode where the characters, after dealing with the harshness of the first game, kind of stew for a bit, and then decide whether or not they would want to go back. Strangely enough, the only really brave one was there's this old guy who apparently suffers from dementia, and I think right now I like him as my favorite character. Especially with him realizing there's a point in the episode too with this character where Ji-hyun meets him, or at least the guy is walking around town and he sees Ji-hyun. They have a couple of drinks, and Ji-hyun is asking because the old man, by the way, mentions that he wants to go back and was given a card to go back. Ji-hyun's like, "Why do you want to go back?" And the old guy's like, "Well, I don't got a lot of time left, so might as well spend it the best way I can, and if anything, if I'm lucky, I'll win." So sure enough, that's what happens. They all head back. Also, there's this side plot with this cop who apparently has a brother that also was given one of the cards, or business cards. So at this point, it's basically the cop trying to figure out this group and where they went, and so on, and where they're taking people. Also, by the way, there was one very unsettling thing near the beginning of the episode where we see what they're doing with the bodies, where they're basically taking the bodies, putting them in wooden boxes, wrapped up in a bow, and cremating them. And the worst part is, as the episode begins, you literally see a man trying to pry his way out of his coffin. He's trying to open the freaking thing, begging for his life. But unfortunately, one of the guards shows up with a freaking a power drill or power stapler, and proceeds to staple the lid shut. That's harsh. That is harsh. But all in all, this episode was good. I'm looking forward to the next few episodes, which, by the looks of it, I believe there is just 9. So 7 more episodes to go. All in all, great, honestly, great start so far for me for this show. Looking forward to seeing what comes next. But till then, though, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Is there anything you guys like to add? Leave in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below. As well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care. And I'll see you guys in the next video.